thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, you know, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, you know, back in the Civil War, and they spread fact. So, you know, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
What I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise. Oh my god. Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
You know, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, you know, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. And tonight, we're going to be discussing whether or not Jesus is just another copycat of, or is a copycat of pagan gods. There's a bit of nuance to this particular topic in general, so I'm going to do a little bit of explaining about that before we get into the video tonight. So if you heathens want to fuck around and find out whether or not Jesus is a copycat pagan god, then please stay tuned. All right, so still don't have that linked up, which, you know, every single week it's always not linked up. Okay, so welcome to the Friday night stream. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight. We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is going to be Jesus and how he's not what everybody thinks he is. We got Daniel M, who says, David says good night. He is showing you his John Deere big block tractor. That is a mighty fine tractor there, David. I was hoping that the little notification would pop up, but apparently it is deciding not to pop up right now. I probably need to go and refresh it or something like that. Anyways, thank you so much, David, for watching tonight. And that's a mighty fine tractor. I hope you have a great night and a great weekend there, buddy. Okay, let me get to the notifications real quick. Okay, I refreshed it, refreshed the cache there, so hopefully that'll get them playing. The Hell Will says, thanks for what you do. Thank you so much there. We got Alex Baranowski, who says, sticking my neck out again. I've been so busy lately, I haven't caught this live in weeks. I hope there's a good shitty ass science tonight. I didn't get a good shitty ass science tonight, there, Alex, but I will definitely do my best to get one next week. So sorry about that. And then we got Quentin Van Booven says, sending in my weekly tithe and securing my seat in hell. And Darren Wright sent a milestone chat saying, holy shit, 2 months already? Happy to support y'all. Thank you so much there, Darren. I think that I was having a little bit of trouble loading up the Stream Elements website earlier, so I think that maybe they're having a little bit of issue. It's probably Pooty Poo fucking with shit. So the what? Yes. Wizard of Oz sent a milestone chat saying, I gave at the office with an airplane. I'm not sure what that means, but that's awesome there, Wizard. But anyway, so we've got some Today I Learns and we got some comments tonight. Like I said, I didn't really have it in me for the shitty ass science tonight, but we do have a lot of great shit. And let's just I guess we could go on ahead and get right on into the hold on. Shit. Okay, let's get on into the Today I Learned, shall we? Today I learned. All right. So, first up on Today I Learned, which before we get into the Today I Learned, just commenting on all the super chats that we're getting. And I know that the notifications aren't popping up right now for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. I'm sure that they'll start playing later on in it because that seems to be how it's working right now. But anyways, a portion of all super chats and all revenue that we make here at Godless Engineer does go to a charity each month. This month, we donated to the Recovering from Religion Foundation, and we were able to donate during the most recent being last weekend, the fundraising drive for RFR. The RFR provides a lot of great services for people that have left religion and that are, suffering, through some hardships. So we're always happy to support the Recovering from Religion Foundation, and I hope that y'all will support them too. Next month, we have not chosen a charity yet, but we are always looking for good charities to donate to. So we will let you guys know more. Maybe next week. It might be the week after next. So appreciate everybody doing super chats tonight and everything like that, despite the little screw up with the notifications. Appreciate y'all. And let's get on into the Today I Learned. All right, so first up on Today I Learned, we've got Nike's Cortez shoes were going to be called Aztec, but Adidas threatened legal action because they're Azteca Gold shoes, because of their Azteca Gold. And in response, Nike decided to name the new model after Hernan Cortez. Oh, look, here they go. Kind of. Did Brosifus even show for that? No. Yeah. Today I learned. Okay. So I did another refresh on it. I don't know if that'll help, but we'll just keep trying the rest of the night. Daniel M did do a super chat again saying, I jammed my toe a while back. My toenail finally fell off the other day, and David thought I should put it under my pillow so the tooth fairy will give me a new one. I don't think that's how the tooth fairy works. Normally they only do stuff with teeth. I think they have, the toe fairy. There could be a toe fairy. We're just not exactly sure. But anyways, Nike decided to name their new model after Hernan Cortez, whose expedition led to the Aztec Empire's fall. So that was Nike's way of politely telling them to go fuck themselves. So yeah. All right, next up on Today I Learned that for some reason, and we still don't know why, a Japanese man has been sending identical handwritten letters weekly to a hotel in the Netherlands for the past 40 years. Nobody knows why. That's dedication. You know, I don't know if he writes all of them like at once and he's just constantly just putting every day. That's like part of a ritual for 40 years. He puts like the thing in the mailbox, but fuck. Huh? I don't know. Maybe he's hoping there's somebody there that knows. What? Nope, I did not. Because I was just like, I don't care what it says. That's dedication. And then finally on Today I Learned, Dolly Parton sleeps in makeup and washes it off in the morning, just in case she has to go out in the middle of the night if a natural disaster strikes.
You don't have to worry about surgeries.
She just gets surgeries there, hun? Oh, yeah. I can imagine it would be terrible for your skin. Luckily, I have some new moisturizer that I got for Valentine's Day because apparently I'm looking ugly as fuck. So I got that, and I also got this little thing that I put underneath the bags under my eyes so that it looks like I'm not, I don't have that engineered tired look. So but anyways, that's it for Today I Learned today. Let's see. I was gonna say something. Shit. I forgot. Next up though, we've got comments. Comments of the day. Prepare to face palm yourself into next week. Hey, you know what? I know what everybody's going to be doing after the stream. It's looking up what that guy wrote to that Netherlands hotel for 40 years. I'm going to have to find that. I don't know where it is. The super internet sleuth KC is going to find it. I don't mean that in a joking way either. She'll find anything on the internet. All right. So first up on the comments, we've got this one. The holy ancient truth is the holy law that governs the eternal universe and which is above every law in Atlantis. It is by this law mankind will be judged accordingly and precisely. Huh? Power off? What the hell? Well, shit. Did it give any kind of warning that it was about to die? Yeah, that's weird. Anyways, precisely. Yes, precisely. According to Crazy Person on Facebook, yep, that's a word. I don't know, like there's also the Eternal, the Eternal universe. I don't know if that's like a theatrical version of the universe or what, but that I'm guessing they meant the Eternal, but whatever. And then above every law in Atlantis, like Atlantis doesn't exist, bitch. Like, that's not a real place. But anyway, here's your daily dose of fucking crazy as shit right here. That is kind of a cool, like, rock formation there. Although, I don't know. I think that might be photoshopped. Maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't matter because that does not connect with whatever the fuck's written. Next up is Kyle. Kyle's a dipshit. Take that out of context if you want to. It still applies. So anyways, imagine if you're trusting someone with your life, a doctor, and they have pronouns in their bio. I'll take my chances, please, and thanks. So I can't imagine anything that I might be going through where I'm like, wait a second, check his Twitter. Does he have pronouns in his bio? I'll just fucking die then. Like, I mean, I don't understand this pushback against normalizing, like, using the correct pronouns. Like, I feel like using the correct pronouns is just polite. You know, it shows that you care about your fellow person. And I mean, it's just, it's weird. Oh yeah. In case you're wondering, I got some crack and cream soda tonight that I'm drinking out of an invisible straw. It is 100% invisible. That's why you can see through me.
I got it.
Huh? Oh, you did? What does the letter say? Do you want to come over here and and now a reading from KC.
Okay, so it says, Dear Sirs, how are you and how is the weather? Thank you very much for sending me some informations the other day. Please give my best regards to all members. Yours faithfully, the man's name I cannot pronounce. Yep.
Let me see if I can pronounce it.
You can't.
I can't.
What's the video?
Yours faithfully, Netherland. Netherland. There you go. See, I did it. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I can't do it. Anyways, it's like, I don't know. That's a really weird thing to send every single day.
I sent more than 10,000 of them.
Mm-hmm. Every single day for 40 years. And I don't know what information he got. What?
A Dutch journalist visited him to ask him why.
Uh-huh.
He is 64 and lives with his 93-year-old father and has no particular reason. He says he was born in the year of the mouse.
He was born in the year of the mouse, and there's no particular reason.
The mouse is Nezumi. And when you pronounce that, it looks a bit like the Netherlands.
Oh. So apparently Nezumi is the word for mouse where he lives. He was born in the year of the mouse, and Nezumi looks suspiciously like the Netherlands.
Okay.
Is spelled.
Hold on, there's some more.
Oh shit. There's more, guys.
Sorry, it's a video. It's happening.
Okay.
Okay. He starts with
the letter V, the 22nd letter of the alphabet, and his birthday is on the 22nd. Hold on, I'm still watching through. This is really strange. I wonder how he picked the hotel. Until this day, the hotel receives his letters. And a painter went and saw him and painted him holding one of the letters, and it hangs in the hotel. Fucking weird ass story.
Wow. That's interesting. All right. So back to pronouns. I have pronouns in my bio. I definitely wouldn't take any kind of medical advice from me though, because I'm not a doctor. But in any case, I can't imagine having a position or like being in a position where I could just be like, you know what, fucking let me die. Because I would rather die than be treated with someone that I have to use appropriate pronouns with. And I mean, when you put it in that kind of context, I feel like it highlights how irrational this person's being. Anyways, thank you for looking that up, honey.
You're welcome.
Oh, I understand. There is no such thing as lesbianism. Wait, maybe I should do Josephus for this. Oh, I understand. There is no such thing as lesbianism. Two women cannot have sex, no more than licking ice cream or inserting a feminine product is sex. These women are just confused, brainwashed victims of liberals. They will both end up with men. Bet. In today's society, I sincerely doubt it because it's becoming more normalized every day for LGBTQ people to exist, no matter how much the religious right or the conservative right don't want to acknowledge that particular group. That they do exist.
This person is not a woman.
That person is not. Casey said that person is not a woman that has ever had sex with a woman.
They clearly don't. It works.
Yeah. Elizabeth Richardson says, I disagree.
Same.
Yeah, I think the stream elements, the notifications are messing up. I saw Brocephus's back poke up and did not see anything else. All right. But yeah, so this guy, total dipshit, obviously. Hold on. Okay. I've got an audible to call here in just a minute. We got to get through these comments though first. Luckily, I've only got 5. All right, the next comment is from Frank Turek, who says, there has to be an unchanged standard of moral goodness outside of humanity for us to say it's objective and that's God's nature. So the problem that I have with Frank's position here is that he just presupposes that there has to be some kind of unchanged standard of moral goodness. For one thing, that doesn't actually represent how anything has worked in human history. Number 2, that's not how anything has worked even in Christianity. So I really don't understand why Christian apologists out there consistently try to suggest that there's some kind of unchanged standard of goodness. Not even within their own religion is this applicable, because their sense of morality has changed in various ways over time, even when there hasn't been a new prophet to get nailed on a cross. Within Christianity, well, I guess when I was talking about Christianity, I meant the shift from Old Testament to New Testament is kind of a big shift. But even just in the New Testament, you have different understandings that highlight how different the moral code is depending on the time, place, and culture that you reside in. So there is no unchanged standard of moral goodness, and nothing about Christianity has ever suggested that there is an unchanged moral goodness that exists out there, like standard. So it's I don't know, it's weird. Finally, on the comments today, we've got this person. I don't think I've read this one before, but it's funny. So the first person's like, not trying to go full conspiracy here. Okay. Hold on. I'm not trying to go full conspiracy about this, okay? But I've been noticing some unusually strange behavior from friends and family who were vaccinated. And then Cletus comes up behind him and says, this isn't a conspiracy. I have a friend that literally turned gay after getting the vaccine. The chemical imbalance from the vaccine is changing people. Yeah, they were gay before. Yeah, they just didn't tell you. And I mean, it's you know, they're right to not tell you. Nobody has to tell you anything there, Cletus. But in any case, the vaccine's not changing people sexuality. It's just not. Like, sexuality's determined pretty early on in life, and there's plenty of scientific evidence to back that up. All you got to do is actually look for the information instead of sucking on conservative ideas. Everybody thought I was going dick with that, but nope. What? Oh yeah. So okay. So Casey mentioned the comment by Michael Mesros. And that's an actual thing that happened. She got sentenced to a pretty long time for lacing cupcakes with her husband's sperm that she fed to children. Just saying. Okay. Now, so I talked about calling an audible earlier. And I think the audible that I'm going to call is I'm going to get Brocephus in here. Yeah. Brocephus is a coming. I hope Alex is still here, because Brocephus is on his way. I actually gotta go and get him, so it'll just be a minute. I gotta go get him. He's probably asleep. I didn't tell him about this.
Oh, when he had the night off?
Yeah.
Oh.
1 second.
Shitty ass science. We're gonna answer some science shit really wrong.
Oh, god damn it! GE, fuck, you gotta get me up and shit. I gotta put pants and a shirt on and stuff and things. And
I mean, you don't actually need pants.
I gotta walk into frame. You want people seeing my 8-foot Johnson? My 8-foot Johnson! Just letting everybody know what I'm working with here. Oh, fuck. I got drunk today. Midday, by the way. And I thought I was sleeping it off tonight, but apparently GE does not want that. Anyways, what am I explaining? I too dabble in essential oils, and it's bacon grease. This is just, facts. You can get this from Walmart. Or you can make it yourself. These essential oils are important, okay? Now, see, the trick with essential oils is that you got to dilute it a little bit into water. So basically what bacon grease will do, it'll really slick up your insides so that you can take a really good shit in case you have been a little constipated lately, okay? So you dilute the bacon grease into water and then you slosh it around your mouth a little bit. Hey, GE, I'm going to take your drink here a little bit. Like that. Your entire mouth is slicked up really good, okay? For one thing, that'll make sure the food will go down. If you have problems with choking like an adult, that can mean several different things. If you have problems with that, then the bacon grease essential oil little mixture will actually help with it. But it'll also help loosen up your bowels so that you can really get that turd out of there. Okay? I mean, I'm getting older. Sometimes it's just a little hard to... Anyways, bacon grease essential oils. Do it today and you will be able to shit tomorrow. By the way, have you been saving the bacon grease?
We don't make bacon. We have turkey bacon.
You got... Listen, I seen that George Foreman grill down there. It can be... I mean, if it's not bacon grease, we can get the hamburger juice. Hamburger juice is a great essential oil too. You dilute that into some water and it works similar to the bacon grease, but you get a nice little hamburger flavor to it as well.
You cannot dilute it into water. It's oil.
I'm just saying, you put it in there, you put a little bit, you put a dropper in there and then you swish it up and then you drink it. Why?
Why the water?
It'll loosen you up. Well, that's how essential oils work. You got to dilute it a little bit, and then, you know, it'll cause your ass to explode.
Well, I mean, bacon grease you can just do straight.
Can you just, I mean, I've never drank bacon grease straight, but, I mean, I feel like that'll cause, you know, like a Mount Vesuvius thing out your ass. I mean, why do you think Taco Bell makes you shit so much?
I don't know. I don't eat Taco Bell.
I don't mean you. I just meant like people in general.
I don't know. I don't talk to people about their shit.
Everybody knows that your ass explodes every time you eat Taco Bell, and it's because they use these essential oils, bacon grease, as well as hamburger meat grease.
I don't know if that's true.
Hamburger grease is essential to Taco Bell. Okay? Everybody knows it makes you shit like that.
Okay.
But you can just get you some bacon grease and have the same kind of effect there. So anyways, I guess he wanted me to explain to y'all the benefits of using bacon grease in water and then drinking it. Because that's how essential oils work, right? Yes. Anyways, I'm Bro Cephas. I'm going to go and pass back out so I can have my hangover tomorrow. And I guess I will see you heathens later. That was supposed to go off screen. Shit. The fuck? God damn it. There we go. Jesus Christ! Fucking Bro Cephas? That's not an essential oil! And also essential oils don't work! Shut up, motherfucker! I'm going back to sleep.
Did you vet the shit he says before you let him on the air?
No, I don't. I signed a contract where he gets to just say whatever in the fuck he wants to, okay?
That was a dumbass deal.
It was a dumbass deal?
Yes. You need a new lawyer.
Okay. Anyways, I found this image and it was just funny to me. Like, I too dabble in essential oils. Bacon grease. Although, I mean, I don't know if you guys heard it, but we have turkey bacon here if we eat bacon at all, which I eat turkey bacon. But anyways, are you heathens out there? Are you guys ready to get to the actual video tonight?
If it's something besides just happened.
Casey, do you want to get mic'd?
No.
Okay. All right. I think I heard something playing out of my ear. Yeah, it's playing now. I don't know what happened earlier with that power off shit. Or is it playing in your ear? Right. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, I guess my earbuds started working again. All right. So I do want to start this off by sort of explaining the nuances of this. So what we're talking about is whether or not Jesus or Christianity, rather, the religion, is a copycat of other pagan religions. And it's kind of an interesting thing to consider, because you kind of have to address, what does it mean by being a copycat? And that's a real informal way of describing what we're talking about when we say that, that Jesus isn't original, right? That the religion itself has a basis in other religions, okay? What we're talking about is something called syncretism. And the way that something is syncretized is that adherents of one religion, let's call that religion A, or the Jews, they take their religion and they compare it to other religions that are around them. Let's say religions B and C, or Zoroastrianism and the Isis and Osiris cult, okay? And then the religion A, the Jews, look at their religion, the religions B and C, Zoroastrianism and Isis and Osiris, and they're like, hey, we have all that same shit in our religion too, but it's better. And so what they do is they take the other religions and they pick and choose certain aspects from each. From Zoroastrianism, we get like an eternal burning hell. We get a devil figure. We get an apocalyptic end and things of that nature. And then like Isis and Osiris cult, we got, celestial beings that come in the flesh. And we have, public facing legends and or stories about these people that existed on Earth, but then the secret teachings within the religion have them actually occurring in outer space, or in the firmament, if you will. And so they take aspects like that and then they merge it with their own religion, the Judaism, and the differences are what matter, because the differences are what's inserted in order to make it better than the other religions. And so I've already mentioned a number of things that are covered underneath this syncretism that we find with other religions. Zoroastrianism was the first religion to come up with a devilish figure. And they also came up with the apocalypse that is supposedly coming. And they also have the eternal burning hell type thing. So those are the kinds of concepts that were taken from Zoroastrianism and merged with Judaism in order to create Christianity. Jesus likewise is an amalgamation of pagan gods and combined with notions that already existed in Judaism. And so basically they saw that these other religions were doing all these things. They had savior gods that died and resurrected again in order to defeat death and all this other stuff. And so they're like, hey, we got one of those too, except he's better, right? And so that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about syncretism, not necessarily copycat, because what a copycat is a direct copy verbatim from one religion to another. But that's not what happened. They took concepts and then they changed those concepts a little bit to make them more Jewish, and then created Christianity, because Christianity is just a different version of Judaism where the Messiah has come. And so we have good evidence in history for this exact thing too. And I will, before we even begin, I want you guys to go into this video with, some pretty good knowledge. What we're going to pull from is Justin Martyr. Justin Martyr has a couple of writings in which he's mentioned a few things of this nature. The first one that we're going to pull up is a little extensive. Hold on, let me pull it underneath my camera there. Okay, so this is from Justin Martyr. He says, when we say that the Logos, who is the firstborn of God, Jesus Christ, our teacher, was produced without sexual union and was crucified and died and rose again and ascended to heaven, we propound nothing new or different from what you believe regarding those whom you call the sons of God. In fact, if anybody objects that our God was crucified, this is in common with the sons of Zeus, as you call them, who suffered as previously listed. Since their fatal sufferings are all narrated but not similar, narrated as not similar but different, so his unique passion should not seem to be any worse. Indeed, I will show, as I have undertaken, and as the argument proceeds, that he was better, for Jesus is thus shown to be better by his actions. So we have an early church father here, I believe it's 2nd century, and he's admitting that all the things that are being said about Jesus are the exact same things as is being said about these other pagan gods, the sons of Zeus, and things of that nature. So we have an early Christian that's admitting that they are that Jesus is the same as these other ones that are far older. So it seems to me like it's highly unlikely that this Jesus would be all of those things, considering that all of those things were said about these other pagan gods beforehand. It seems like it's more likely that these things that are said about Jesus were just copied from what pagans were already teaching. So that's number one. And we'll circle back around to these at a couple of points in the video tonight. This next one, still talking about the virgin birth, in his dialogue with Trypho, Justin Martyr says, when I hear, Trypho, that Perseus was begotten of a virgin, I understand that the deceiving serpent counterfeited also this. So what this shows right here is that Justin again affirms that other pagan gods like Perseus were said to have been begotten of a virgin and other things, suffering, passions, and all that. The only way that Justin can actually explain why older gods were said to have gone through these things, like a virgin birth, and then the Jewish Christians then said the same things about Jesus, is to say, well, Satan, or the deceiving serpent, rather, the deceiving serpent planted all of these things before so that we would doubt Jesus. Talk about moving the goalpost or special pleading. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to circle back around to these things as we progress through the video. But I just wanted to give you guys some concrete examples of how even the earliest Christians were accepting that their religious faith, their God, Jesus, their Lord, the things that were being said about him are similar to the things that are being said about other pagan gods, and that it shouldn't be any big surprise. Like, this is not some outrageous thing that's being said. These are the same things that have been said about these other gods that are even older. So we're going to progress through the video tonight, and I hope that you guys enjoy their video. First off, I had honest answers. I feel like that's not an honest title, but I'll let you guys be the judge.
Well, it's a very popular idea that you hear and read everywhere. Unfortunately, looking a little deeper into the idea, we see some problems. But first, the reason people say this, it's true in the ancient world, there were gods or heroes who, in some cases, are reported to do miracles. They, in a few cases, supposedly were born of a virgin. They did exorcisms. They, in some cases, were claimed to have been killed and then raised from the dead. So we hear these stories and we say, wow, that does sound an awful lot like Jesus. And
Yes. Also, I love how his title is a professor of apologetics. I mean,
Professional bullshitter.
yeah, a professional. It's like, tell me you're a professional bullshitter without telling me you're a professional bullshitter. That's by being a professor of apologetics. This guy has made it a career out of, defending the faith in whatever way possible, even if it doesn't make sense. So right off the bat here with this video, what we have is this professor of apologetics admitting that older gods have done the exact same things that Jesus has done. So, to say like just a copy of pagan gods, I feel like is a bit of a straw man way of presenting it. And so if anybody out there is having this kind of conversation with people, don't say that Jesus is a copy of these gods. I would suggest people be a bit more accurate and say that Jesus is a syncretism of Jewish ideas and these other gods. That way they can't really argue against that other than being like, nuh-uh. And as we'll see, he's got some bad reasons for going, nuh-uh.
in fact, some try to say things like, well, maybe the Jesus of the Gospels is a plagiarism of these other ancient stories.
No. So don't call it a plagiarism either. I highly suggest not doing that, because that fails to understand what syncretism is or what intertextuality is. So basically, I wouldn't say that the Lion King plagiarized Hamlet. Right. Hamlet definitely was the inspiration for the Lion King in whatever kind of way. And then like, you have several other stories that are affected by Shakespearean plays. Like there was a zombie movie a while back called Warm Bodies, right? That is basically a Romeo and Juliet story. And the Romeo and Juliet story is kind of, told and retold it just in different ways throughout culture in the various, versions of society that we've had, since Romeo and Juliet was written. But you wouldn't say that they plagiarized it. You would say that they use the basic story elements of it to create something new. And that's exactly what the Jewish Christians were doing. They were using these concepts from pagan religions in order to create something new, but still Jewish.
The problem with all this is that it denies some very simple facts. Number one, the history of Jesus is profoundly different than the mythical, and I would put it this way, obviously mythical nature of the pagan gods.
I'm sorry. How is Jesus, like, his story not mythical? And I feel like you have to be very specific here, because there's the story of Jesus, which is incredibly mythical, and then there's the gospel, I guess, if you will, if you're talking about the gospel of Jesus as preached by Paul. The gospel of Jesus, the good message of Jesus, would be that he came, he came, he died, and he was buried, and then he resurrected to absolve the sins of people, right? And he appeared after his death. As far as like the first apostles go, Paul goes, that's the gospel of Jesus. The story of Jesus is the mythical and magical one. Okay. And not to say that this gospel that Paul was preaching isn't magical. Obviously it is, but the gospel, like the gospel, the gospels according to the four canonical ones, those stories about Jesus are definitely mythical, and I don't see how they're different than like the pagan gods, other than the other pagan gods had, I guess, a bit more obvious like myth to them. But Jesus's story is myth all the same. I mean, you have several different versions of the myth. They were all reconciled into the one book, and then, trouble just, went from there, because there's no way to reconcile all four of the gospels. They just included all four because all four of them motherfuckers was popular.
For instance, we live at a time when even non-believing scholarship recognizes the historical Jesus cannot be denied. And in fact, not only did he live and die, but he is recognized to be this amazing figure from the ancient world, such that even if you deny that he worked miracles or any of that, we know more about him as an historical person than anyone from antiquity.
See, this right here really grinds my gears. Okay. It fucking does, because that is so far from that's why at the very beginning of this, I was like, honest answers is not how I would describe this fucking video. So we know nearly nothing about the historical Jesus. This would actually be a good time to plug my live stream tomorrow night, where I'm going to be discussing the historical Jesus with Captain Dadpool. And it's scheduled right now on my channel, and here I'll put up the little thumbnail that I got for it. I don't have nice pictures of myself, okay? Like the pictures where I'm smiling just don't seem right, so that's the thumbnail that I got. But in any case, it really fucking bugs me when people say that we know more about Jesus than any other historical figure. For one thing, that assumes that the Gospels are historical. They're not. Critical scholars of the Gospels all unanimously agree that the Gospels do not reflect history, nor do they ever try to record history at all. They record theology. Matthew Ferguson has a great write-up on the secular web, infidels.org, about how mythical all the accounts are. He heavily focuses on like Luke's account, because Luke's account is the only one that even attempts to sound like he's trying to record history. The rest of them just are recording theology. The only things that they ever cite, the only thing they ever cite is scripture. And then, so what we're left with is really Paul. Paul didn't get his information from any human person on earth. Paul only got his information from the scriptures, which is the exact same source as the Gospels, and through his visions that he had of Jesus, where he talked to him directly. An example of this would be like when Paul learned about the Lord's Supper. I'm not going to call it the Last Supper, because that's not how Paul refers to it. Paul calls it the Lord's Supper. So it's not the Last Supper. But in any case, he learned about that through a vision of Jesus, where Jesus was directly talking to him about this new ritual that they were supposed to perform. And so we know nothing about Jesus's earthly existence, if he ever existed. Now, for the purposes of discussing the resurrection and things of that nature, I'm perfectly fine just presupposing that Jesus existed. Because the point of that conversation isn't that, the historicity of Jesus, it's the historicity of the resurrection. But in this particular video, it's directly concerned with the historicity of Jesus. So I just have to point out how little we know about Jesus's earthly existence, which is to say we know nothing, because nothing is ever said of it. The Gospels aren't reflective of it, and Paul never denotes Jesus as actually being on earth. But more importantly, Paul never talks about anything that Jesus did do on earth.
Contrast this with, say, the Homeric gods or heroes, or any of the other Roman gods and heroes from the past. It's just a dramatically different situation. And in the case of Jesus, we indeed now find that many non-Christian scholars will even say things like, it's apparent from these amazingly early documents. Notice I'm referring to both non-biblical documents as well as the biblical documents we call the Gospels and the New Testament letters, that these are so early that even if you don't accept them as the Word of God, they are so early that they relate eyewitness testimony of a man that these scholars who are not Christians will admit appears to have been some kind of miracle worker.
So I know plenty of secular scholars that will say that, oh, Jesus was the, itinerant Jew that was perceived to be a miracle worker and all this. He also puts heavy emphasis on the amazingly early accounts. But I'm not so much concerned with how early these accounts are, because the insinuation was saying that they're early is that they're independent and they're eyewitnesses. The Gospels are not eyewitness accounts. They never try to be eyewitness accounts. They never act like eyewitness accounts. They never read like eyewitness accounts. So they are not eyewitness accounts. Suggesting that they are is just ignoring the actual scholarship on it, which, by the way, he says that non-Christian scholars, critical scholars, are saying that they are eyewitness accounts. They're not. I've heard Bart Ehrman claim that there are eyewitness sources behind each gospel, but they literally do not exist. They're imaginary sources. And I mean, I just can't see myself ever accepting imaginary sources as being something that we can actually use to prove anything. Because if they're imaginary, they can say whatever I want them to. They could talk about how Jesus had a 12-foot dong and everybody praised it or something. I mean, they could literally say anything that I wanted them to in order to prove my point. So imaginary sources don't help us. The Gospels don't help us. What matters in this situation is independent testimony. And it doesn't have to be like eyewitness testimony, but it does have to be independent of these religious texts that were generated relatively soon after Jesus supposedly died. I mean, when you're talking about 40 years after Jesus's death, that's a pretty short time period. I mean, for Alexander the Great, the earliest, or well, not the earliest, but the best biography that we have about him comes 500 years after Alexander the Great died. The reason why it's the best biography is because Arian, the author, had direct access to eyewitness accounts that he fully explains in detail. Do we have that at all in the Gospels? The answer is no, because nowhere in the Gospels does it list sources. Luke says that he studied this and that he used eyewitness sources, but he never tells us who these eyewitnesses were. How are we supposed to know they were actually eyewitnesses? You just have some bumblefuck in the 80s, or 90s rather for Luke, saying that he heard this from eyewitnesses, not actually proving that he got it from eyewitnesses.
We live at such a time that his historical resurrection is indeed one of the most talked about features of historical Jesus studies today. And the majority even of non-Christian scholars recognize something so amazing happened that they come up with counter theories that are very similar to what we've seen throughout history. And these counter theories really become implausible if you don't simply reject the history because you are, let's say,
God damn it! I don't know. I mean, I mean, it's that thing again. Like I'm so used to editing with my Stream Deck that I have the pause button in a certain place, and I go to hit it whenever I want to pause, and it fucks me up. I'm so sorry. This stream is not sponsored by Ridge wallets. we're gonna go back because I needed I need to rehear it because I was trying to like fuck around with shit. Okay.
Amazingly early documents. Notice I'm referring to both non-biblical documents as well as the biblical documents we call the Gospels and the New Testament letters. That these are so early that even if you don't accept them as the Word of God, they are so early that they relate eyewitness testimony of a man that these scholars who are not Christians will admit appears to have been some kind of miracle worker. We live at such a time that his historical resurrection is indeed one of the most talked about features of historical Jesus studies today. And the majority even of non-Christian scholars recognize something so amazing happened that they come up with counter theories that are very similar to what we've seen throughout history. And
well, I mean, yeah. So the thing is that if Jesus didn't resurrect from the dead, then we have to come up with, reasons as to why people thought that he did. Because we still have to explain why the religion even exists. So we got Jason Kolosik, which I think that our notifications are still fucked this weekend. I'm so sorry, guys. But Jason Kolosik says, awesome that Brocephus Ridge. What would that wallet look like?
I am thankful for my liquor.
Apparently the notifications are working now. Which my Ridge wallet's downstairs. But it would Brocephus's Ridge wallet would just be like a Bud Light can. It would be a Bud Light can in the shape of a wallet. I wonder, if I ever get popular enough with Ridge, I'm gonna see if they can do a Bud Light that like style, like a customized. But it'll have to look similar to Bud Light, but it'll have to say Ridge on it or something, because it can't be exactly Bud Light, copyright reasons, unless they want to work with Bud Light about it. I don't think I'm that important of a motherfucker, though. Anyways, fuck, what was he saying?
Recognize something so amazing happened that they come up with counter theories that are very similar to what we've seen throughout history.
Right. So he's talking about counter theories, and the fact that we can come up with alternate natural explanations for what supposedly happened, that's not a bad thing. Like, if your religion is true, you should be able to stand up against the scrutiny of basic fucking questions. Okay? Like, oh, the tomb was empty and that's how he was resurrected from the dead. What if people just stole the body? It's like, oh, well, our one author, Matthew, came up with a solution for that. There were Roman guards at the tomb. Oh, what about the other 3 accounts that you have of it? Let's not focus on the fact that they don't have Roman guards. Let's just look at the fact that the one account does say something about Roman guards. I feel like if your religion, if your story can't, stand up to just basic alternate ideas, then you probably shouldn't believe it. But I like how he's talking about coming up with alternate hypotheses or alternate explanations for the claims of the Bible. I like how he's painting that in a very negative light right now. Like, oh, this is just Christian hate, just through and through, that we've seen throughout time. They just don't want to believe it. So they come up with these alternate theories that are natural, and natural shit is better than supernatural shit. Like, yeah, natural explanations are always going to supersede supernatural ones, or at least ones that break the natural course of reality. Like, and the resurrection is definitely something that would break the natural course of reality, because that shit doesn't happen ever.
And these counter theories really become implausible if you don't simply reject the history because you are, let's say, a philosophical naturalist and you believe that miracles are impossible.
Let's just say that I accept philosophical naturalism. I mean, I'm not exactly sure if I would agree with everything in that necessarily, but let's just say that I do for shits and giggles. I feel like even on that idea, you can definitely prove that the supernatural exists if you have good enough evidence. If you have evidence that suggests that the supernatural exists, and this is something that we can quantify, this is something that we can definitely prove about reality, then you will definitely overcome it. And there may be some people out there that are, what's the word I'm looking for here? Stubborn. There may be some people out there that are stubborn enough to not change their position when presented with good enough evidence. I am not one of those people. So, yes, I think that miracles are the most unlikely conclusion to any question that we could have. That being said, if you have enough evidence to suggest that the miracle happened, I will accept that a miracle happened, but no miracle has been proven to those standards, at least. Obviously, religious people, like Christians mainly, are going to believe in these kinds of miracles happening, but I feel like my standard, however simple it may be, is vastly stronger than the evidence they bring. So we got Jason Kulisak with the member chat saying, history? What the fuck? Supernatural? Yeah. This just goes to show how dedicated he is to apologetics and being a professor of bullshit. You okay? Okay.
So,
okay.
So on the one hand, we have the problem of an historical person, indeed the most influential person in all of history, documented by historiography that transcends anything that we have from the ancient world, that can only be rejected precisely because of a philosophical viewpoint, not because of history.
No, we can definitely reject it because of history. Now, I mean, the very beginning of this video, I rejected all of that because of history. Because of the fact that, there's no way that Jesus could be born in the time of Herod the Great as well as in the time of Quirinius. That's a contradiction. So they're not recording history. I mean, both of them can be wrong about it, but both of them definitely can't be right in that particular sense. And then you have several other things in the Bible, in the Gospels, that are just simply not history, like Pilate's attitude. Pilate didn't give a shit about whether or not he was killing Jews. Even if especially not just one Jew. Okay, he didn't care, but the Gospels portray him as being so, undecided and really struggling with whether or not to kill Jesus. I mean, you're talking about a dude that got removed from his position because he was too brutal on a random group of religious people that were traveling to someplace to pray. Like he had his men just slaughter them. And apparently that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because Pilate was removed after that. So, I mean, you just can't sit there and say that the Gospels are reflective of history, because they're not. And historians agree with that. We got Fair Witness, and for some reason the super chat's not popping up, but maybe it will here soon. Fair Witness says, pocket change for Josephus. He can go and buy a 40-ounce Colt beer. You know what? He'll probably just buy for that super chat. Josephus could buy, like, I don't know, a 12-pack can of Bud Light, or maybe even Coors Light, maybe Natty Ice. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't drink Natty Ice, but Persephus seems like a guy that would be able to drink that.
Contrasted with mythological figures. But secondly, the person of Jesus is so profoundly different than any of the other so-called heroes or gods that we look at in these other mythologies. Let me give you a couple of reasons why. First of all, his philosophical portrayal. It's true that, for instance, if you read, say, the Iliad or the Odyssey, you will see that there are miracles all over the place. You will have gods, say, for instance,
Hey, this person just bought an express ticket to hell!
I knew that was going to come up sooner or later.
Arguing with one another. And those arguments will lead to dramatic changes, let's say, in weather patterns on earth and sea. The very real difference in the case of Jesus is that you see a world that's much like our own, wherein God's ordinary providence, the seasons are as he promises all the way back in Genesis. They're regular, they reflect his faithfulness.
I'm sorry. Did this fucking bullshit professor just say that Jesus isn't a copycat of older pagan gods? Because, let me be more specific. Jesus wasn't syncretized with these older pagan gods because of fucking weather? Fucking weather. Fucking weather is what distinguishes Jesus from the pagan gods. Am I hearing? Is that what you heard, honey? Yeah. Fucking weather. Apparently, the weather and it being consistent with the natural process of weather systems is an example of God's what did he call it? God's commitment to continuing that shit or something like that. Whereas the weather, as it's understood by the Iliad and Odyssey, is controlled by the emotions of the fucking gods. I mean, how tone deaf do you have to be when there's politicians and there's pastors, preachers, priests out there that are like, God don't like the gays. Okay, they don't like them. And so they send tornadoes in there to kill the gays and to punish us. Or how about God sent that shooter to kill all them people because they was gay? Like, have you read the Old Testament, that Professor what in the fuck? I mean, I don't think, because God in the Old Testament consistently gets pissed off and does some weird weather shit. I mean, it's like he forgot about the global flood that happens in the fucking Old Testament, because God literally got pissed off at all of humanity for being total shit and decided to kill everybody with a giant flood. And you're trying to tell me that your God is different than the other gods because weather is consistent? God struck a motherfucker down for picking up the ark when it fell. God also struck a motherfucker down using lightning and shit for spilling his seed and not impregnating his in-law. You're trying to tell me that weather is reflective of God's nature. Like, as in it's consistent and steady and everything like that. And so that differentiates it from those hot-headed asshole gods of antiquity. Right.
But unlike the Homeric gods, in which a hero is at their mercy, and the weather patterns are capricious and unpredictable, the very real difference is that the Jesus of the Bible actually can change these standard reflecting of God's faithfulness type of weather patterns because he is indeed God. Very, very different philosophical portrayal, unlike anything else in history.
Unlike anything else in history? Are you sure about that? Because all of the miracles done by Jesus were also done by prophets of the Old Testament, right? So there's the stilling of the sea, which is probably is one of the things that he's talking about. It's got to be one of the things that he's talking about. The stilling of the sea, pretty famous Bible story. So basically the not apostles, but disciples in the Gospels, the disciples are on a boat in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, right? Which isn't really a sea, but whatever the fuck. In the Sea of Galilee, there's a storm, right? And there's like rough waves and all this other stuff. And then Jesus stills the sea, right? This is directly lifted from the book of Jonah. Okay. Because Jonah ends up stilling the seas by appeasing God. And since Jesus is God, he himself can still the seas, right? But so there's you can tell there's a slight shift between prophet of God and the Son of God, right? And you can also see how Jesus just directly lifted this from the book of Jonah. All right. The book of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, directly relates to Jonah in his gospel, and that's actually with Jesus being dead for 3 days, because the book of Matthew says the only sign that will be given will be the sign of Jonah, which is when he went into the belly of the sea creature for 3 days, and then got spit back out, or maybe he came out the whale's asshole. I'm not sure. It definitely didn't. He definitely wasn't ejaculated from the whale dick. I'm just saying. But the point is that we're not saying that Jesus was like copied from the pagans in this particular way. That's not what anybody ever says. That like the fact that, let's say, Zeus can hurl lightning, we don't think that therefore they copied it and put it onto Yahweh in the Old Testament or something like that. That's not it at all. Jesus in the New Testament copies from the Old Testament, but does it better, and he's more powerful than the prophets of the Old Testament. Another good example of copying from the Old Testament would be the miraculous generation of food, and you see that in various ways in the New Testament. You have the bread and the fish, where Jesus multiplies all those bread and fish, and he does that. Well, there's similar things happen in the Old Testament, where bread is multiplied and food is multiplied. But in the Gospel of John, you've got the miraculous generation of wine, and stuff like that. So there's a miraculous generation of food. There's resurrecting the dead. There were prophets in the Old Testament that resurrected the dead. You see, the whole thing about Jesus being that he is the ultimate prophet means that he has to do everything that the old prophets did, but do it better. And so he did do it better. Now, wherever the Jews got their particular stories from, they obviously didn't happen in history, but we really don't have to be concerned about that, because all that matters for this particular context is that Jesus's stories are not real and are in fact lifted from the Jewish religion.
Secondly, his teachings and his character are so different than anything else you see in these ancient mythologies.
This is true that Jesus is different in this way, but that does not mean that Jesus wasn't like syncretized with these pagan gods in some kind of way, or Christianity rather wasn't.
I gotta tell you, I am thankful for my liquor.
Fuck yeah, I know. It doesn't mean that Jesus wasn't syncretized with these older pagan religions. He definitely was, but the differences are what matter. Who's your buddy? Sending in a super chat saying, too bad there's never a miraculous generation of evidence. You know, I would settle for a miraculous generation of rum. That would be pretty odd. That way I wouldn't have to go to the liquor store all the time and come out there looking like some kind of drunk all the time. Yeah, I mean, y'all don't even know. I have to walk out of there with a big old shopping bag full, and it's only got like 3 bottles in it, but I look like I should probably seek help. But, you know, it lasts generally about a week and a half. Anyways, so he's trying to suggest here that because Jesus is different, that means that he wasn't syncretized with these other religions. But it's the differences that matter in syncretism, because while Jesus is syncretized with these other religions, they have to, the way that he's different is what matters, and it's because he's Jewish. They have to make these stories palpable for their audience, for the Jewish religion. And so they make it very Jewish. And, you know, they also add in their own kind of flavor to it. They change some things from Judaism, and, you know, and they put it on the mouth of Jesus. There are several things. And I'm thinking of one particular instance, but I can't exactly explain it right. I'm just having trouble thinking of it. But there are several instances where Paul says something and then Jesus says it later. So it's very obvious that, you know, they were lifting things from within their own religion and from within their own community in order to create these stories. And that's the part that a lot of apologists out there, especially Professor Dipshit, doesn't seem to recognize, is that the primary source for Jesus is Judaism itself.
I would simply say to someone interested in this subject, compare and contrast. Don't just take a general talking point, but actually read the Gospels and see what that person of Jesus looks like, and then read one of the so-called mythologies or pagan god stories and see if they sound at all the same.
So, of course, if you just read the Gospels and then read the Iliad, you're going to notice that there's a lot of differences because they're not the same story. But also, the Jewish Christians didn't just directly copy from these pagan religions. They syncretized with them. You can pull out basic themes and basic ideas from the pagan religions. You can pull those very basic concepts out, like an eternity, a hellish eternity after this life, and the whole devil figure in Christianity that comes from Zoroastrianism. And then you have the whole mystery cult of it all, of early Christianity, where there are secret stories that are told to the initiated, but then public-facing stories like the Gospels that are told to everybody else. Hell, Jesus in the Gospels directly talk about this. It has Jesus directly telling us that, hey, everybody else on the outside will hear these things as parables. They will not understand the true meaning, but you, the initiated, will understand the true meaning. And that's literally in the Gospels. So those kind of aspects were syncretized from these other religions, not directly copied. So while he's correct that they will seem different, that does not mean that they weren't syncretized. It's a lot like saying, hey, if you go and you read Hamlet, and then you go and you read the screenplay for The Lion King, they are totally different stories, and you will never guess that they were that The Lion King's based off of that. Or hey, you know what? What about West Side Story and Romeo and Juliet? You read both of those things, and you will see that they are different and not at all the same. Although you could pick out the skeletons of all of these stories I'm talking about, including Jesus, and you can connect them with these previous stories, but they are different stories because they were written for different times and for different audiences. So you have to change it. You can't just directly copy it.
And then I would argue a better starting place would be to read a book like, say, Lee Strobel's The Case for Christ.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. No. No, nobody go and read Lee Strobel's bullshit for Christ, okay? That is a horrible book. He does a horrible job at investigating. And, you know, I've seen the movie. It was shit. And I'm not going to waste my time on his shitty book. Because The Case for Christ is not going to give me any kind of good information because Lee Strobel is an apologist.
It's a good introduction to the very issue we're talking about, where you can see there is very real scholarship that supports the amazing testimony Christians have of knowing this raised Jesus in our prayer life, in the way he changes us, and most importantly, in the way he forgives us.
I'm sorry, was your final evidence here that this Jesus is different and not copied is the fact that people...
I gotta tell you, I am thankful for my liquor.
Jesus Christ, that one was just right on time right there. Quentin Van Boven saying, would it be better to index at 1 than read that book? Yes! I will endorse indexing at 1 vice, reading Lee Strobel's fucking book. I agree with that. Go ahead and do that. It's perfectly fine. But his final evidence here for Jesus not being copied is the undeniable evidence of people's experiences when they've come to know Jesus. Like people now, that's how I took it. People now experiencing Jesus. Like how in the fuck is that evidence? I mean, you have an experience with Jesus. A Muslim would have an experience with Muhammad, Gabriel. I'm not exactly sure who they would have an experience with, but they have similar experiences. Mormons, they have experiences with Joseph Smith, and not all of them are good. But hey, obviously this is so very real to him, so that convinces him, and good for him, I guess. I'm not built that way. Like, we're not compatible at all. We got Jane Pusecker sending in her member chat saying, I have tried doing exactly what the finding info and comparing. However, I can find very little info on Mithra, but what I did find, she's a crop goddess. Well, yeah, I mean, plenty of those goddesses and everything like that were agricultural type of gods, but you can see the agricultural nature of Jesus in his birth and in his death and resurrection, because in his birth, right around the solstice, I mean, that's when all the agricultural deities were starting to come back to life and all this other stuff. And then you've got the spring where rejuvenation would happen. Life would come back into the plants and all this other stuff. They would be resurrected. So, I mean, it's kind of odd how it's positioned at the exact times that the agricultural gods would be doing their things also. So, thank you for your member chat there, Jane. I appreciate you. I think this is the end. Yeah. Honest answers. There was nothing honest about this video because, I mean, he's a professor. Look, this guy is a professor of apologetics. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about what's historical. He cares about defending his faith. And he's an expert at that bullshit. So maybe I'm just jaded by apologists just because I've been doing this for so fucking long. It's coming up on 10 damn years that I've been doing this very fucking thing. And so maybe I'm just jaded by apologists, but none of them seem to really be concerned with history or truth or anything of that nature, really, because they always want to ignore history. They always want to twist the truth in order to protect their religion. And I just can't respect somebody that does that. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna, spit in this guy's face or anything, but I definitely don't respect him as a professor when he's spinning me this kind of bullshit. I don't know. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video tonight, which finishing up right on time for us to go through the Skeptic Mafia comments, which they are usually quite extensive. If you guys don't know, here on the channel, we have memberships called the Skeptic Mafia. And the Skeptic Mafia is just awesome to be in, to be quite honest. I mean, you guys get a lot of great stuff. I mean, I've got a Skeptic Mafia podcast recorded. Just hadn't had time this week to actually get it edited up, but I will get that edited up to you soon. Let me get this pulled up. Sorry. And part of the Skeptic Mafia is that you get to pick the video. So the Skeptic Mafia picked the video for tonight, although did have to call sort of an audible because my initial video, which was the Michael Icona video, didn't have a lot of substance behind it. So I had to pick something with a little bit more substance. And I'm glad that I picked this because there was a lot of things to cover in it. But if you want to join the Skeptic Mafia, a portion of the Mafia membership fees go to our charitable donations each month. So I would really like to thank the mafiosos for helping us donate to the Recovering from Religion Foundation this month. You guys are awesome. You guys are one of the primary reasons why we started doing the charitable donations. It's something that we've always wanted to do, but we never really made enough money off of the channel in order to do it. But once we got memberships, I mean, we started to, be able to actually donate a substantial amount each month. So you guys make it happen here. I appreciate you guys so much. But like I said, we do have the Skeptic Mafia chats to get to. All in all, for this video, I found this guy to be not compelling whatsoever. He seems to conflate the idea of just directly verbatim copying Jesus as opposed to syncretizing Judaism with other religions. He sort of strawmans the position, although I can somewhat see why he might, because of all of the rhetoric going around on the internet about how Jesus is a copycat and all this other stuff. That's not entirely accurate. I prefer to use the word syncretize. He's syncretized with older pagan gods. And I think that this guy is just concerned with protecting Christianity, because that's what apologetics is about. Apologetics is not about giving you good information. It's not about telling you the truth about reality. It's not about telling you the truth about their own religion. It's about protecting the religion even from itself. And that's just how I see apologetics nowadays. Again, I might just be jaded by it because I've had to deal with it so much, but I don't feel like I'll ever change my opinion on apologetics like that. So anyways, I hope that you guys had a lovely time tonight. If you will, let me know what you thought about his video down below in the comments or in the live chat right now. I'd love to read what you guys think about it. Do you think he had good points or no? Let me know down below in the comments section. And hey, while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like anti-apologetic shit like this. Go on ahead and subscribe, and I will see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we got the Skeptic Mafia chats.
I don't know what y'all have heard, but donating is not going to make me stop. Fuck me in the asshole.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate you. So we got Dadu1123 saying, hey, GE, can you look up information on the real St. Patrick? I heard that he was horrible. That's interesting. Considering that it's March, that might make a good video, like a short, quick video to do. Kind of like a Casey's Corner. Mm-hmm. I'm saying like a Casey's Corner, but me. A GE's Corner. It's got liquor and my garage. It's just got a broke down motorcycle that you're not going to let me ride.
They're dangerous.
Called out. Anyways, thank you so much there, Dedu. I will definitely see what kind of information I can find on St. Patrick. That would be interesting to research. So thank you so much for bringing up that. But so we do have the Skeptic Mafia comments. If you guys don't know, the Skeptic Mafia here picks the video for Friday nights. So say thank you to them for the video that got picked tonight. But also they get to leave a comment that I will read on air. That they can leave, and we're going to go into that right now. Cernian said, you mentioned the motorcycle a couple of times. Yes, I have. All right. Pulled up, except I need to... There we go. I think that's good. All right. So first up is Command Cyborg, who says, hello world. I've been busy today and this is stupid. So I'll be brief. No, whoever started Christianity didn't just steal or co-opt a bunch of surrounding religions, except perhaps Judaism. But as it's an offshoot from it, it's kind of expected. And I ain't seen nobody noteworthy contesting that. But yeah, there are a bunch of similar things also. If this makes you upset, I suggest crying in your pillow and at least checking your facts before posting to YouTube. The most unique thing about Christianity is how popular it became, and that it's still around, like a lot. And then he did a whale peen and said, smash all the buttons, ring a ding dong, don't lick your phone without proper precautions. And that's all, folks. Thank you. And Command Cyborg says goodnight. Transmission terminated. I heart dogs. What up there, I heart dogs? I heart dog says Jesus is real because weather. I'm so glad I'm not the only one that kind of came to that conclusion right there. Because it's just like, what the fuck? Weather? Really? Anyways, the worst apologetic ever. Personal experiences aren't evidence. The so-called life and teachings of Jesus are for the Gospels tells me so. This video is pathetic. Not sure I'll make it tonight as I'm a bit under the weather. Oh, I'm so sorry there, I Heart Dogs. I hope you feel better. Join the Skeptic Mafia, vote for the videos, enjoy hangouts, and get cool emojis. You'll help GE's and KC's charitable work. Bye, heathens! See you later there, I Heart Dogs. Alex Baranowski says, okay, just putting this out there. My main objection to Christianity doesn't rely on anything to whether or not the Jesus character was based on prior myths, nor does a historical Jesus or uniqueness of his character do anything to evidence the truth value of the religion. I couldn't follow his word salad very well, which is generally an indication he needs to do a lot better to really make his point and drive it home. I've been MIA, so insert one chill here. So we do a podcast that's special for the Skeptic Mafia. We try to release it every week. I slack on it on occasion. I should be able to have that out to you guys tomorrow, maybe, because I got some free time in the morning, and I should be able to get it somewhat done then. So I'll be doing that. But you get a special podcast if you become a Skeptic Mafia member, so consider joining, because those are always great. And you get to hear the lovely KC. What? You get to hear KC rant. I introduce the topic, and then it's 10 minutes of ranting from KC. What?
that is just.
That is so true. I know.
You know, you have to live with.
I know. We're going to play Destiny later. Maybe. Rude. Okay. Wizard of Oz says, how ironic that it's called Honest Answers. I could build a strong case for a historical Jesus if I made up a bunch of straw men and lies too. Zeus was said to spend a significant amount of time in a certain cave. We know exactly where that cave is. Jesus was said to be put in a tomb. Where is that tomb? You know, that's interesting. That's an interesting point there, Wizard. Thank you so much for that. Then we got Trickster. Trickster says, when he talks about the other myths, he makes sure to put them in a box labeled, these are just made up stories. But when he brings up his favorite myth, he says, oh, Jesus was a historical person and we have many outside sources that speak of him. He brings up Christian scholars, but don't most of them all already have a bias built into their studies to find a way to make a Jesus character real? Well, yes, and they're, especially their discipline of New Testament studies in general. Whether it's by statements of faith from the place that they work at, or it's just the dogmatic position of Christianity in general and the social consequences that come with going against the grain in that community. I feel like there's way more than enough motive to suggest that the field is broken in general. Let's say he brings Jesus is different from other myths, and this is true to a point, as Jesus was crafted from not only past stories of savior gods, but also crafted to fit Jewish scripture. It still cannot be denied that many similarities do exist. He says to read the Gospels, but doesn't say which one we should read. Or does he expect us to just jumble them together and ignore the glaring inconsistencies between them to come up with a story we want to hear or support our personal beliefs on the subject? After all, it seems to work for them. Like, subscribe, and share. Hey, got a couple of bucks, or maybe you haven't dug the change out of your couch lately? Come join us in the Skeptic Mafia and help us pick which dumpster fire we watch on the Friday show, and drop a comment and let the people know how much smarter you are than the people trying to get you to believe stuff without good evidence. GE, what else do you have for members? Ooh, we got emojis and the side chat, and we premiere nearly every video or live stream stuff here on the channel like 5 days a week at least. So you'll definitely get a lot of use out of the super chat emojis, or not super chat emojis, but just the emojis in general. And then, you know, I don't even think to mention this, but you get, well, yeah, there's a Discord. But I was thinking you get those member milestone super chats. So like once a month, you will be able to send a free super chat to me. Also, you become one of us. One of us. Thank you so much there, Trickster, for adding your 2 cents in. I appreciate you. Then we got Jonathan Nickel, who says, I see many parallels between Jesus and other mythic characters, which this guy dismisses whilst accepting Jesus as a historic figure. So yeah, there's the rank Raglan hero scale that's like the classical hero kind of scale, and that's really just to describe what it is to be a classical hero. And if you typically score above, like, if you score above 15, you're more than likely not a historical figure and are just a made up figure that's meant to fit a certain stereotype. And Jesus ranks up there pretty high on it. I think he's in the 20s is where he ranks. So, yeah, Jesus is a class of character that typically does not exist, or is not historical, at least. Jonathan goes on with, in fact, that appears to be his main argument, his assertion that Jesus existed, whereas he denies the existence of other supposedly godly figures. He says that historical Jesus cannot be denied, but I certainly can deny him. And I'm sure that mythicists like GE will also deny him too. If he wants to make that claim about modern scholarship, I would have to say citation needed. Yeah, definitely. Always ask for citations. And that goes for anything out there. I mean, just recently I had to ask for a citation from a guy who says that prayer made a Russian platoon surrender to the Ukrainians, to the Ukrainian officials. And his whole argument was, you can't prove it wasn't prayer. It's like, prayer doesn't work. At least in that kind of fashion, prayer doesn't work, right? I mean, prayer isn't going to cause a platoon to give themselves up. It's just not. So you would bear the burden of proof to prove that prayer does those kinds of things. So anyways, continuing with Jonathan's comment here, he talks about eyewitnesses, but he doesn't name any of them, and he can't offer any of their individual testimonies. Well, he thought that he was giving them by saying that it was the Gospels. The problem is that you can't actually establish them as being eyewitnesses, so your comment still stands. A line in one book saying 500 people saw this happen does not count, and that's referring to Paul, talking about the 500 witnesses. Jesus wasn't the first figure whom it was claimed was born of a virgin, and he certainly wasn't the first to perform miracles. In fact, Dionysus turned water into wine long before Jesus was meant to have turned up. As for the Roman gods, or the Greek gods by other names, I have a book about these figures on my shelf. I don't believe a word of it, but they are entertaining stories, and there are a fair number of tales you can read about them. He actually had the gall to post this video as part of a series called Honest Answers. Honest Answers My Arse. I agree. Honest Answers My Arse. Thank you there, Jonathan. I appreciate you. We got Zoomy, who did an ASCII, which is apparently a facepalm, a very nice facepalm there. Zoomy says, let's see, Krishna, Odysseus, Romulus, Dionysus, Heracles, Glycon, Zoroaster, Attis of Phrygia, I don't know. Horus and many others share the same story as Jesus, or at least heavily share similarities with him. Hell, even the god Quetzalcoatl was born by a virgin named Shimalaman, whatever, to whom the god Ometeotl appeared in a dream. Why y'all got to give me these like really weird ass names? You know my southern ass can't pronounce them, okay? Even the Aztecs had a Jesus figure anyway. That being said, ASCII time, and it's the facepalm going through the head. Because this deserves a thermonuclear facepalm. No, what doesn't deserve a thermonuclear facepalm? Licking that like button, smashing the subscribe, and intimately taking the bell to bed in order for a good romp, to ensure that you never miss a thing. And if you have like $5 just burning a hole in your pocket, you can go ahead and join the Skeptic Mafia, where you can get John to say stupid shit like True Engineers Index at 1. Or Babylon 5 is infinitely better than Star Trek, which is infinitely better than Star Wars. Stargate is somewhere in the middle. I really need to make a sci-fi tier list one day. Anyway, that's it for me. Exit stage right. Thank you there, Zoomy. Appreciate you. Then we got Terrence Clark, who says, sure, There are some people who claim Jesus is merely a copy, and that position is incorrect. But the primary debate among people who pay attention to the subject has never been that he's merely a copy, but that significant elements from other myths are imported in the Jesus myth, regardless of whether or not he was a real person. That's true, because they could have definitely made up the character of Jesus that started off as a historical person, but then became mythologized. So thanks for pointing that out. It's like the classic demonization tactic of claiming one's enemies sacrifice or eat babies. Hey, that's us! We eat babies and sacrifice tiny kittens in our basement that we don't have. Yep. It has rarely been historically true of any of the groups accused of it, including early Christians accused by Roman pagans. But if you want to get your followers to froth against an enemy they don't understand, it's a useful shorthand to tap into that instinct. That's true. There, Terrence, thank you so much for your comment there. Drew's book reviews and other bookish things. I would not hesitate to say all gods are copies of some other gods that came before it in some respect. The story changes, but nothing truly inherently original. I would agree that in a certain context of copying, you could make that argument. I feel like being a bit more specific to syncretization with other gods is more accurate, or at least allows you, affords you the fact that you can't be misrepresented, at least without looking like they're lying, right? Without being obviously wrong. And then finally we got Jason Kolosike. Says, oh, the pagan gods are obviously mythical? Eyewitness, huh? Miracles are proven to be possible? Screwed toast or clouds Jesus' likeness on the moon, untouchable by mortal man. Honest answers? Haven't heard any yet. Thank you. All right. That's going to be it for the comments. Thank you guys so much for leaving your comments. I really appreciate all of the Skeptic Mafia checking that video out, helping us select the video and everything like that. So it's Drew's checking out. I read his comment. He's like, fuck this guy, I'm gone. Nah, I'm just messing with you, Drew. Anyways, we gotta head out. I've got to check my sugar and get that squared away, and then maybe try to convince Casey to play some Destiny. Maybe, yeah, I don't have to do a lot of convincing for that. But anyways, so next week on the channel, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, on Monday we're going to be taking a look at a group of Catholic priests that are discussing some atheist objections. Next week on the Bible study, we are continuing our trek through Daniel. And then we will have a debate premiering on the channel on Wednesday. That's my debate with Jay Cox that I had this past week. And then Thursday, we're going to have a collaboration video. I'm going to leave it as to be a surprise. But we're going to have a collaboration video on next Thursday with a creator. And I can't wait for you guys to see that. Oh, yes. And I almost forgot. We've got Captain Dadpool coming by tomorrow night at 8 p.m. because I wanted it to be a little bit earlier, but he has some scheduling conflicts. He can't do it before 8. So we're doing it at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. It's Captain Dadpool and I talking about the historical Jesus. So definitely stop by then. We've already got the live stream like things scheduled, and so it's on the page. You can go there and set a reminder and all that kind of stuff for it. But we'll be doing that tomorrow night. So we've got a lot of great shit coming in the next week. I hope that you guys will stick around and be sure to leave comments, smash the like button so that the AI overlords really love us here. And I guess that I'll leave you guys till tomorrow night. Bye, heathens.